Welcome to the Thin Blue Line Outdoors Podcast.
This pig came bottling.
Just ended up puking last night. It sucked.
Whoa! Ah! We gut it, we wrap it in tinfoil, throw it over the fire.
Hey everybody, it's Jesse Redneck from Thin Blue Line Outdoors, joined by a special guest, somebody I've known as we just talked about since I was about 3 or 4, back in the good old Bluffdale days, Mr. Brenton Collins. How you doing tonight, Brenton?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? Good to see you.
It's been a while. It has been a while.
It's been a little while.
I like the background change you got going there, kind of blending in.
Well, it's the messy bedroom in the background. I think you want. My wife wouldn't appreciate the bedroom in the back, so throw a little virtual background up there. All right.
Yeah, I found the cleanest spot in our house too, with the nice background wall here.
Sure.
So kind of kick this off, guys. Asked Brenton to come on for a few reasons. First of all, he's a military vet serving on his local fire department right now. But he also had just a fantastic deer season this year that culminated with a huge buck. But before we get into all of that, I want to jump into how Brenton and I met and kind of the influence he's had on me. He is not significantly older than me, but he's older than me, which I can say that because I'm still a young buck.
You don't look it though.
No, I don't.
Hey, that's why I wear a hat. You ain't getting to see what's under the hat.
I am realizing I'm looking more and more like my dad as the years go on.
You are. I feel sorry for you.
There's times where I'll be driving, I'll catch myself in the rearview mirror like this up. This is Doug Sam's right here. 100%.
It sure is.
It's like scares me real quick. I'm like, oh shit, is my dad here with me right now? So a little backstory. Brenton and I grew up on the same street. My family moved in there when I was about 3 or 4. Brenton he lived there before us. Him and my brother are closer in age than we are. So they started hanging out, and me being the annoying little brother I am, always tagged along.
Yep.
But I actually credit Brenton here for somebody who has been paramount in my love of fishing. I know I don't have a lot of fishing content out there. I don't get as much as I would like to. But besides my immediate family, Brenton is probably somebody who got me hooked on fishing. I don't think I ever told you that until now. I need to say thank you for that.
I appreciate that, man.
And that came back to when we're riding down in Bluffdale. We hop on our bikes with our fishing poles and our tackle boxes and ride on out to Gladstone Lake.
Yeah.
We had some awesome adventures there.
Sure did. Hell, just the adventure to get there, you don't realize it was 3.5 miles one way, and that don't sound like a lot, on a bicycle or much, but, pedal 3.5 miles in August just to go fishing, and it's not a straight shot. It's a couple of small, a couple of hills here and there and turns and going across the highway and,
no shade. You're just
no shade, no nothing,
It was definitely a trip. We used to go out there all the time. And eventually when we got our licenses, we would do that. And then we get campgrounds and we would do some fun stuff with fishing.
Sure.
I think he might also be the first person I ever went night fishing with for catfish.
Probably.
So, I credit you to that. It's something I still love to do to this day. So thank you for that. How did you get into all that growing up? Like, because you were a big influence on me and that part of my life and getting out there. And this was all before we had any gaming consoles or anything like that, right? This was before PlayStation stuff, so we really didn't have a lot to do.
Right. Well, even during that, we'd played our fair share of games, but if it was nice out, we went fishing, or we were outside hitting golf balls or shooting paintball. I mean, we were outside, not like kids today where they'd rather be inside. But
we even had a fishing game that we would play on the rainy days.
Sure did.
Like one of the PlayStations, and they're just
PlayStation had real fishing, is what it was called.
No, yeah.
Even my dad played it. He was in his 50s, so it was. But speaking of my dad, he's the reason I got into fishing. That's all he really did. That's when I was born, he bought his first boat the year I was born and started fishing a lot. He fished as a kid. some with my grandfather and here and there. But he really started fishing the year I was born. And
you guys were the first person I knew that actually owned a boat too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember driving by or like going down your house and be like, "You guys have a boat? Like, dude, that is so cool."
Yeah.
And, like, you guys always had it decked out, always had the fishing gear in it, ready to roll, man.
Oh yeah, it was always ready to roll. All you got to do is hook it to the truck and go. I mean, it was ready. But yeah, it was. As far back as I can remember, that's all we did. Went to the Mississippi River catfishing all the time. Some local lakes around a little bit, but not a whole lot. But that was our summertime. That was our springtime. That was our wintertime. Going on the river, walleye fishing in the wintertime, catfishing at night.
Did you ever go to Ballard's Pond with us?
I think I went a couple times, not very often.
You remember the snakes there?
Oh yeah.
I was just telling the story tonight that one time, I don't think you were with us, but after this one incident, we started taking a gun with us to go to the snakes. Okay, guys, when we tell you the snakes at this place were well fed. Okay, it was a stocked pond. It was my dad's boss's pond at the time, and he gave us permission to fish. And I don't think he really had anybody else fishing there. And I'm not joking, guys, when I tell you we'd have water moccasins with their head like this big swimming around there. So this one instance was I was fishing. I think I just had a bobber and a worm on it, actually. I hooked a decent bass, and I'm reeling it in. And it gets heavier as I'm reeling it in. I'm like, oh, man, that thing's putting fight. This is awesome. I'm reeling. As I'm getting it in, I see this snake eating my fish as I'm reeling that thing in. And I
definitely wasn't there, but I remember hearing the story.
Yeah. And then I dropped the pole and ran. Brent knows this pretty well about my family. We don't do well with
You don't do snakes. None of you do.
No. I think there was a time, it was either with you or Harkey, where Jason was fishing and a snake got close to the boat, and he literally like ran out of the boat and made the 5-foot jump back onto dry land.
Probably both of us, because I remember him multiple times running and jumping or squealing like a girl and just taking off. A couple times he jumped in the water. Me and your brother, we spent a lot of time together, and I got to see him run mushroom hunting through the timber. Anything moved wrong, he was gone. I mean,
dude, I forgot about it. We used to go onto that bluff all the time if I got through. That was another great summer or spring activity that we did.
Yeah,
you were outside a lot, weren't we?
All the time.
Holy smokes, man!
At the time, Jason broke my mom's brand new tree she planted in my yard playing football in the wintertime. You play out there, you stay away from my tree. It wasn't 10 minutes later, we snapped that bitch in half. So
Jason doesn't actually listen to the rules all the time.
No, well,
when it comes to sports.
None of us did. But no, man, fishing's it's in my blood. It's all I know.
Now you're still doing it, right? Like you're still doing tournaments now, right?
Every chance I get, I've been fishing competitively for about 6 or 7 years now. My dad, who's 78 here in about a week and a half, he's my partner.
Okay.
So,
do you ever take your boy out with you?
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. He's 12. He'll probably be my full-time partner here in a year or two. But we fish as much as we can. We've been out walleye fishing a bunch of times this winter already, and we did a couple open tournaments with him this past spring and summer. Okay. So he's right on with it, just like me. It's in his blood. He can't get rid of it.
Now, I've never done a fishing tournament myself. Like, what does that even look like? How does that even work? That's how green I am.
I don't know if you've seen them on TV or not. Like the Bass Masters or the Major League Fishing. I mean, it's just like that. It's just smaller scale. Okay. Instead of like 100 anglers. So, we have a meeting. Our club has a meeting, and then you pay your entry fees, and you have a drawing for takeoff order. And then based on your takeoff order, that's how you line up tournament day. Okay. The marshal will say go. They take off boat 1, boat 2, boat 3. You fish for the allotted amount of time, come back at the weigh-in time. Weigh in your fish. Obviously the biggest 5 wins. But it's just like you see on TV. It's just smaller scale. Not as many boats.
You're not feeding them any lead like those one group did, are you?
No, not yet. No. Well, I keep donating money every year. I haven't won hardly any money doing this for the last 5 or 6 years. I've seriously considered it. But
Now, with these tournaments, are you strictly doing largemouth, or are you doing any other kind of tournaments?
no, there's strictly largemouth, smallmouth tournaments. I've done a few catfish tournaments in the past. Me and Dad have, but nothing. And we've actually done pretty well in catfish tournaments. My dad's pretty good at catfishing. He
is.
He can find them. He can find them for sure. So, I just wish he'd find the bass like you find the catfish. It'd help me out a lot. But,
Two
but
questions. Go for it.
That's about it.
2 questions while we're still talking about fishing here. First of all, I gotta know, what is the biggest fish you've ever caught? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Oh, the biggest fish I've ever caught. Well, it'd have to be the muskie I caught this past summer out at Big Hollow Lake, just north of Burlington, Iowa. And it was about 44 inches long. That's the biggest fish. It's a pretty big one. Fish in a bass tournament. So
yeah,
I definitely wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. Did you now when you were in a tournament for that?
Yeah, I was in a bass tournament and I caught the muskie.
So is that a thing though? Like, so you're fishing for bass and you catch this muskie, which is huge. Are you able to keep that muskie for yourself and not cut it in the tournament? But like, if you wanted to put it on the wall?
Oh, sure. Yep, absolutely.
Did you do that?
No, we got a picture of it, put her back in the water.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Second story. Craziest fishing story. Everybody's got one. I think mine's a snake.
Oh man, I don't even know if I have just one. I mean, you're talking to a guy that fishes 200 days a year, probably.
Right.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I have.
How about that?
I mean, the craziest ice fishing story I got is when me and my buddy are sitting in my ice hut, and 40-mile-an-hour winds just come out of nowhere and blew us across the lake, poles and all, just right out of the hole. Just off we go, and we're just going. I mean, I bet it was, I don't know, 100 yards from where we started when we finally got out, and then I get out, and the wind picks up and takes him even further down the lake by himself, and our line is underneath, on the ice. Our jigs are bouncing on the ice.
Oh my God.
It's just that's a funny, stupid.
Did you stay out?
What's that? Oh yeah, we stayed out.
There you go.
Yeah, we went in one of them wind covered coves, but yeah, we stayed out. You're not getting me off the ice.
That's something I want to get into up here. I've never done ice fishing, but it is so big up here. Like,
it is.
I'm telling you. Like,
Yeah, we were up there. We just went up there this past weekend.
Yeah.
Up to the DeSoto area.
You did?
Yep. Yeah, me and my boy went up there with a group of guys and fished DeSoto Bay through the ice for 2 days.
Well, that's awesome. Catch anything?
Not really. No.
Slow.
No, it was kind of a slow weekend. There was fish caught. There was a 5-pound bass caught out of the ice, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was 30 of us, I think, in our group, and there was 40 fish caught on Friday, and I think we caught 11 fish on Saturday.
Okay.
It was pretty slow.
When I drive by lakes up here, I'm not joking, where I could probably see 15 to 20 tents popped up.
Oh, sure.
Just fishing and going. I want to get into that. What all do you need to get into that ice fishing? I know you got to cut the hole. I know the tent is maybe not necessary, but
sure,
wanted. But like, obviously, you got to have a shorter fishing pole.
Right.
What else you got to take with that? And what is the strategy behind that?
Well, the strategy is find the fish. I mean, and it depends on where you're fishing too. If you're fishing lakes, they're going to be mostly probably around, in my experience, are around structure. They're going to be around trees, grass lines, stuff like that under the water. If you're fishing the river or backwaters of the Mississippi River or anything like that, around us, you can throw everything you've learned out the window, because the Mississippi River is its own beast.
Yeah.
Typically when you think ice fishing, you think deeper water. That way they have the thermocline they can find. But
what the hell?
we're in 4 foot of water catching 6 different species of fish. One of them was a 5-pounder. So I mean,
awesome.
the river is its own thing. So the strategy just kind of really depends on where you're at. again, they're going to follow the bait no matter where they're at. So if you don't find food, you're not going to find fish. But you need an ice hogger, to drill your hole. Up there where you're at, definitely suggest one of them power augers, either the drill powered one or the propane powered one or the gas powered one. All of them are good options. Just depends on what your budget is, how much other stuff you're going to carry with you too. If you're carrying a bunch of stuff, you don't want the big gas power auger because it's heavy, it's bulky.
Yeah.
The drill one is probably your best bet. It's multi-purpose because you can use your drill to also set your shelter spikes. So when you pop your shelter up, you can put your spikes in the ice, and they have a tool for your drill. You can do put your spikes in the ice. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah.
Down here where we're at, we get maybe 8 inches of ice at the most, if we get ice at all.
Yeah.
So I just have a little 6-inch hand auger is all I got, and that works just fine. But you definitely need an ice hut. And there's all different options. There's single man, 2-man, 3-man, 8-man. I mean, they're insulated, non-insulated, built-in sled, no sled, with a floor, without a floor. It's really just personal preference on who you're going to be fishing with, how long you're going to be fishing. Are you going to be moving around a lot? Are you going to be sitting still in one spot? So it's just like anything else. It's just like hunting. It's just like open water fishing. I mean, you can get as expensive and crazy with it as you want, or you can be as primitive with it as you want to.
Yeah, I've heard that. Like when I first got into hunting, I think it was Harkey, because I wanted to do it all. Right. People know this about me now. I didn't get born into hunting. It's not something my family did.
Right.
I was one that had to be self-taught. Harkey sat me down because I wanted to do duck, geese, turkey, deer, all of it. He goes, eventually, man, unless you get your own spot, you're going to have to hone in on one.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to go broke doing all this.
Yeah, for sure.
He's right. Yep. But with that, too, like, you didn't hunt growing up. At least I don't remember you hunting growing up. How did you get into that?
Well, I mean, I always liked hunting. I grew up around people that did hunt. Our family friends.
We were in the minority in Henderson County.
Oh, for sure. We were definitely. I mean, we fished, which was still kind of put us in that niche. But it was. We're Central Illinois. I mean, we're big deer hunting area. I mean, people pay thousands of dollars to come out here where we lived and hunt deer.
Right.
So us not deer hunting was very odd. It was very.
We also had with the Mississippi River right there, waterfowl was big too.
Sure. Oh yeah, it was just for us to be non-hunters as kids was very different. There wasn't a lot of us.
Right.
But no, I was always around it. Our family friends, they were into it hardcore. The Keevers, they hunt and hunt and fish. I mean, they hunted everything too. Ducks, geese, deer. They hunted everything. And then my other real good buddy Alex, him and his grandparents and his family hunted a lot. And we did some squirrel hunting as kids with him at his grandpa's place. A little bit of coon hunting here and there, but as far as no deer hunting really at all. I think I went with a couple of them a couple times to watch. But I always knew something I wanted to do, something I enjoyed doing. I liked the meat. The meat was always good. I loved the taste of it. Yeah. So I knew I wouldn't just be killing to killing. So what really got me into it is I finally got old enough and had my own money and my own stuff sorted out. And I bought me a cheap bow from a guy I met out in Montana when I was stationed out there in the military. It was a Craigslist ad or something like that, selling a bow. And I went and bought a bow, and he asked me if I knew how to shoot. I said, absolutely not. So I'm going to teach myself. I've never had it in my hand. Didn't know, can't be that hard. Point it and shoot, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than that. But he gave me kind of a rundown lesson, about an hour or so there in his backyard. Just kind of gave me the basics. And it just went from there. I just practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced, and did a lot of research. Thank God for YouTube. We actually had YouTube and watched a lot of videos, read a lot of books. Well, not books, but magazine articles and how-tos and stuff on the internet. Then, of course, talk to other people. Just a lot of word of mouth, a lot of networking, trying to figure out how to figure this thing out. Finally got it where I could hit pretty good at 30 yards, and off we went.
Now, you said you bought the bow in Montana because you were stationed out there. Did you ever go hunting out in Montana?
I did. Yep. We went deer hunting, elk hunting. Never did bag anything, but the experiences were cool. I was drawn back on a doe on my last evening one night up there. And I was with two other buddies I worked with. And I have a spruce tree on one side of me. I can't remember exactly which side. But the deer's coming. She's kind of skirting the hill. So she's not on top of it. And she's kind of just using this as the hill as a backdrop. And I see her. I'm walking back to the truck. So I park up against a spruce tree, and I'm at full draw. She's got to make 3 or 4 more steps to come across this tree, and I'm going to let one fly. Well, here comes my buddy down the same hill she's walking across.
Oh.
Walks right in front of her. She spooks. I'm full draw. I thought about shooting him. Not going to lie. He was son of a, my only chance to get a deer out here in Montana. I spent all weekend out here, 3 days out here, sleeping on the ground, finally get a chance at a deer, and here comes old Nathan walking down the hill, just empty-handed, and so are we. Everybody else is too now. But,
was that the first deer you saw that weekend too?
No, it was the first deer in range.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have been so mad.
And the elk hunting experiences, we saw elk. It took a couple of days to find them. Once we found them, we saw hundreds of them, but they're like mile away. I mean, it's just so different to go out there self-guided, second year ever holding a hunting weapon of any kind, and hunting elk in the mountains of Montana. I shouldn't even have been there. I shouldn't even have went. But
that's a dream hunt of mine. And you were like, second year in, here I am.
Right, second year, here I go. Why not? Go big or go home. I'm doing the Bushmaster Classic next year. Well, fuck it, why not?
How long was your elk hunt then that you did?
We went every weekend we could.
Right.
Yep.
So
we had
warrior elk hunting.
Right, yeah, because we had resident tags because we were stationed there, so we qualified as residents.
Okay.
So we got resident tags, and we went every chance we got. And I think we went, I don't know, I probably went 4 or 5 weekends maybe. Some weekends was just like a day trip, go out something local. There's a couple times we went out as, a couple days out and camp, but it wasn't something we did a lot. It wasn't something I did very much at all. Again, it was brand new.
Right.
If I killed something, it was going to be by sheer luck.
Right. So then I'm assuming that was public land you guys were walking around out there?
Yeah, so out there they have a lot of public land, but it's privately owned, and it's called block management areas.
Okay.
And so it's private land that the government pays the landowner to let the public hunt. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of that out there.
We got that up here in Wisconsin as well. It's actually the first time I hunted in Wisconsin was on a piece of land like that.
Cool.
Where it's privately owned, but then you get to go out because they get like a tax break or something like that. From my understanding, Illinois doesn't have anything like that. No,
I don't believe so.
Public land access in that.
It'd be nice if they did.
Yeah, because right now, like, I'm sure people who are still in Illinois feel this, is that if you don't have access to private land, then you're essentially beating people away when you're going to public land to try to find the spots, or you're walking 5 miles deep into it to find where nobody else is.
And it depends on the private land too, or the public land. If there's a lot of public land that everybody thinks, oh my God, everybody and their brother goes there, it's just beat to hell, and that's really not the case. I mean, when you think of it, there's a lot of guys that they have access to that private land, and the guys that don't just don't hunt.
Right.
And if they do hunt, it's like one shotgun season.
Yeah.
Or they'll go early, and then when it starts getting cold, they're done.
That's fair.
Private land hunting is great, and I prefer it.
Right.
But public land hunting is underrated. I mean, there's some big animals that live on public ground because there's no pressure.
Yeah. That's fair. That's very fair. So then
But there's also a lot of public ground that gets beat up that squirrels don't even live there. So
yeah.
I mean, it does depend on what public ground you're at.
I got public land experience up here, but the ones I had in Illinois were right when I was getting into hunting. In fact, my first shotgun season ever, I was lined up to go with a buddy from college with his family out to this private land, and that didn't work out. One of their cousins joined the group later, something like that. So then I ended up last minute going to Mackinac State Park, like Deer Creek, Mackinac area, and just waiting to draw a tag, to be able to go. That Friday morning, I think I made it out eventually, like 10:30, right? But you could just see it, everybody everywhere. That whole morning, I was just sitting there waiting to go out. I was helping the guy go haul deer and that people shot, and just listening to their stories. Because, like you said, one of the best ways to learn is just to talk to the guys who are doing it, right?
Yep, for sure.
Especially if I wanted to get a deer there, I wanted to talk to them about, okay, why'd you sit up here versus this spot, and get that information. And then the second day I was going back, we had a blizzard in the Peoria area, and I borrowed my buddy's truck to go. And we were staying in a 1-bedroom apartment at the time, and I had no room to really bring in my hunting gear that night. So I left it in the back of the truck. He had a topper on it, locked up everything. Well, I got there. I was one of like 3 people waiting to go out that day because the weather was so bad. They're like, all right, you can go out. I went to go open the tailgate. Fucker was frozen shut. Couldn't get the top off. They go, where's your hunting stuff? I go, well, it's in the fucking truck.
Right.
Get it out. So they fell for me. They let me pull the truck into the state park center there, whatever, heat it up. And as soon as I popped that thing open, I got to go. That day, I think I spooked a deer on my way out to one spot. And this is like before I learned you just got to sit.
Yeah.
I waited an hour. I got up and moved to a different spot. I'm thinking I probably ruined maybe 4 or 5 people's hunts this day.
Probably.
Because I didn't know any better. I got one shot off at a doe, and it was iron sights, and that doe had to be 150, 200 yards away. Like I shot, and she just turned and looked.
Right.
I was like,
what? You shooting at me or what?
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? I mean,
Like, look at this rookie.
you shouldn't be out here. You're not ready, young pup. You're not ready. And then the second time was Ryan and I actually drew for Castle Rock, which is up in Oregon, Illinois. And again, not really good story for us, a good look for us, but we were learning. The late bloomer hunters.
Right.
Showed up there, put a blind up, sat for a bit. They were like, this spot fucking sucks. Found another spot in the day. And then I think we even left early, ruined some guy's hunt. We saw him in a tree eventually. Felt bad. Then the next day we went, same thing, blizzard coming down. We're walking in. We left our blind up, and we walked this trail 4 or 5 times. We kept ending up back at the road. We had no fuck clue where we were. The sixth time on it, we're like, all right, we know that's the road over there. We just laid down. We said, we got to wait till light. We just laid in the woods, watched the snow come in. And then later that day, Ryan fell asleep. And I put my shotgun by his head and let a round off to see if it'd wake him up. It's not really great public land hunters, distracting everybody.
Sure.
But he didn't wake up, by the way. He slept through it, and I was very, very surprised.
Wow.
But yeah, that's really my experience with public hunting. All the spots I've been to, it's just been overfilled, right?
Right.
And then we were fortunate enough then to get access by somebody I worked with in Mercer County. And that changed everything. Like we put in a lot of work. We went from our first year there, I got a small button buck, to now with the work we put in the land and just kind of getting better at it. I mean, we usually pull at least 2 deer off that land every year.
Right.
Our best year was Ryan and I both had 2 deer down before shotgun season, a buck and a doe with our bows. And then we didn't see shit shotgun season.
Right.
Which makes sense because it's a little like, I don't know, I think it's 8 acres and we hunted it hard. I mean,
Right.
hard. October and early November. So by the time we got to shotgun season, A, it was freezing cold. It was so cold. But B, we put so much pressure on that little piece of land there that
Right, and you're surrounded by giant timber anyway where you're at. If I remember where you're at, so when it gets cold, they'll tend to go to that bigger timber.
right.
But they knew you were there. You both got 4 deer out of there in 6 weeks.
Yeah,
They knew you were there.
We always joke that we're on we call it Little Dick land, while everybody else around us is on Big Dick land because we're hunting this little 8 acres, right?
Sure.
And you pull up Onyx, you're looking at all the land around you, and like they're like 100, 120 acres, all of it around you.
Right.
There's one spot where you can look off and like we're hunting over a little pasture where sometimes they plant corn, sometimes they hit beans, right? But then there's the fence line about, I don't know, 150, 120 yards away. And then even further away in the cornfield, there's these 2 giant tower blinds. They're just stationed perfectly. And you're like, God, that would be nice.
Right.
That'd be absolutely nice.
Yeah, it'd be comfortable for sure.
Oh, it'd be nice and toasty and warm. I'm sure they got the little buddy heaters going.
Oh, yeah.
Boom's got some of them little buddy heaters that he gets all fancy with when we're freezing out there.
Yeah.
So you got from Montana. That's when you started your hunting journey, right? You were stationed out there. And then unsuccessful, but dude, you got to go elk hunting your second year. Like that's
right.
Amazing. Not many people could say that if you're not from that area, right? That's insane.
Yeah.
What'd you do when you saw your first elk? Like, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, I didn't really think it was like, oh my God, there's an elk. It's just, holy shit, there's a fuck ton of elk right there. I mean, you're seeing them probably a mile away in this open, just giant open landscape, and they're just moving the whole herd. I mean, it was the herd. It wasn't just one, it was hundreds. The first time I seen a live elk in person in the wild, not at a wildlife prairie park or someplace like that, but
that'd be another cool spot to hunt, by the way.
Yeah. They got all kinds of stuff there, don't they? A little easier too, right? They can't go nowhere. Put them in the corner and go home.
There it is.
But I mean, it was just so wild because it's, there was just so many of them, and just the sound, the bugling and stuff was kind of cool, and but and I've seen big animals. Like I went to Minnesota every year as a kid, up to the boundary waters of Minnesota and Canada, canoeing and fishing with my dad when I was like 8 years old. And we did that till I was in my teens. And we've seen moose. I've seen bear. So, I mean, it wasn't really a shock,
right,
so to speak, because I'd seen cool shit like that.
Yeah.
But to see hundreds of them at one time for the first time was pretty amazing.
Now, with it being the herd, did you see any bulls?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Got some big ones. But they, obviously they're moving, we're moving, and where they're at is way further than we can legally go anyway.
Right.
So, we got to a spot where we could set it pretty good, and we could hope we could call them in, and they just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't give a fuck about us at all.
No. Probably didn't even know you were there.
No, they probably didn't even hear us. And even if they did, they probably knew it wasn't real because we, like I said, we were pretty new at it.
Oh, were you trying to call them in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were professionals, bro. We knew we'd watch 4 videos and bought a fucking call off Walmart. We knew exactly what we were doing. I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Well, a call from Walmart. We watched 4 videos and we were raring to go.
Yep. I had a Primos call in my pocket, and I had the Primos video replaying in my head. I knew how to talk the language, man.
Oh, how much did you practice on the way there in the car?
Oh, not on the way there. No, never. Not on the way there, but we had to practice at the house and stuff beforehand. Yeah, we'd pull them out when we were drinking some night or something and fucking dick around with them. But yeah, it was.
Oh, first time I ever got like a duck or a goose call.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to like get it figured out. I took that thing everywhere with
everywhere. I did the same thing.
Emily eventually told me I had to put it away at the house or she was going to throw it away because I wanted to do it. I'm like, does this sound like a duck to you? No,
No, it does not.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me try the goose one.
Yeah.
No, not even close.
And I still don't get my goose call. I mean, I can cluck a little bit, but I can't get that damn thing to that. I can't get that reed to bend over at all. And I got a good call. I got a banded call.
Yeah.
I got it for Christmas 3 or 4 years ago, and I've practiced. I just can't get it. I don't know if it's old smoker lung or what the hell I got, or just plain Illinois education. I just can't figure it out. But I can't get that goose call to cluck and moan like I needed to.
Yeah, they're very. It's a skill.
It's an art. I mean,
it's an absolute skill.
It really is. I mean, I got the duck call down a little bit for the basic stuff, you know. And I've been duck hunting way more than I've been goose hunting. But I usually take buddies with me that know how to call real well for goose hunting, even duck hunting.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like that extra noise, you know, that will make the flock sound a little bit bigger. Or you know, I can do the feeding call pretty well. Some guys can't.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it helps when you get 3 or 4 guys calling too, that, you know, each one know which their strengths, and that way you're not all doing the same thing, and it kind of sounds more realistic. But yeah, that goose call, and it's just it's an art. It's really.
Have you ever tried one of those turkey calls you put in your mouth?
Yeah, that's the first turkey call I ever bought.
Really?
Yep.
That was your dude. You don't fuck around. You go.
That was the first one. Nope.
Start hunting, going elk hunting.
I wanted right.
My turkey calls, I'm going right up here.
Well, like you said, when you wanted to do it, you wanted to do it all, and you want to do it all right now. Yes. So that's what I did. I did all of it, and I did it right now. I mean, so the turkey call I remember because I wanted to get the box call.
Yeah. Because
I thought they were really cool. You know, I was like, how can 2 pieces of wood make it sound like a fucking turkey?
Right.
Well, they didn't have it. So I'm looking around, and I see this slate call, and I mean, I was probably almost 30 now. I was back in Illinois because I didn't turkey hunt until I got back out of the service and back to Illinois, probably 13 years ago now. And the slate call was expensive. You know, the one they had was like $30, $40. I'm like, I don't even know how to hunt these fucking things. I gotta buy a $40 call. I got no idea. And well, this mouth call was like $9. It was a single reed, I think. Single reed, and just $9. Okay, $9.99 or something like that. Farm King in Monmouth.
You go for the $9.99.
Right. So it can't be that hard. Dude, I bet it took me 2 weeks to sound like a sick duck to get a turkey call out of this thing. And I had this call in my mouth all day. All day. To and from work. Annoying my wife with it. Out in the yard. I mean.
People probably thought you were nuts.
Oh, they sure did. I bet they did. Clinically insane. Aluminum helmet wearing, everything. Yeah. But I finally learned it, and I got it down, man. I can do it without a call now. I love turkey hunting, but it's so hard to do. They are so smart. They can see you from 1,000 miles away. You know, good thing they can't.
My first bird, my only bird. We went in for like a 10 a.m. breakfast or something like that.
Right.
The spot we were at, and then we were walking back out, and it was just there, like literally 50 yards on our trail end.
Right.
That was it. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
And I've never had another one since.
I've never had a turkey. Harvested one. The craziest turkey story I had is I was hunting on 5 acres. And, well, 10 acres, but the other 5 was the house and the barn and stuff that the Keevers owned. And so I'm back in the back 5 acres of their property. I think I had 3 days to hunt. Was my days off for 4 or 5 days of the season. I only had 2 or 3 days to hunt. 3 days, I believe. First day, I get out to the spot where I want to set my blind up. I set the blind up, put some decoys out. They kind of clearing where they used to deer hunt. Set my blind up against a real tall brush. Calling. I'm hearing turkeys everywhere, all day, just hearing them. No, not seeing nothing, but I'm hearing them. Sounds like they're getting closer. Cool, I'm calling them in. Great. And I got a shotgun. Second day, same thing. Get to my blind, load the gun, start calling. This time I can hear them come out of the trees. Oh man, they're close. But all day long, because you only hunt till like 1 o'clock, if I remember right, in Illinois. Yeah. So all day, all morning, I'm talking back and forth to these birds. Sound like they're coming, but I'm not getting anything in. Now remember, this is it's out in the middle of nowhere, but there's 5 or 6 houses. There's a road, and then there's 5 or 6 houses along the road. But the back part of these properties are, timber, but right. Some guy has cows. This guy has dogs. This person down here is, building a deck and, saws and shit. I mean, so it's a residential-ish type area, but it's right. Perfectly legal to hunt. There's all kinds of timber around. There's cornfields for miles behind me, but they're there. The birds are there. Another day, nothing. Like, well, shit. Well, all right. I come back the next day. I get the stuff out of the truck. I pull my shotgun out. I get to walking up. I'm like, you know what? And I got a couple hundred yards from the truck. I'm going with my gun.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Last day. It's my last day of turkey hunting this year. If I'm going to get one, I'm going to get it with my bow. I turn around. I head back to the truck. I put my gun in the truck. I grab my bow. I walk back to in the timber. And at the end of the trail, there's a big cottonwood tree. Then it opens up to the opening. On the other side of the opening is my ground blind. I get to that cottonwood tree, and I hear the set of the loudest gobbles I've ever heard in my life. And then I look up, and in the tree right above my ground blind is that flock of turkeys that I've been calling for 2 days. They're roosted in my tree. They're roosted right above where I should be sitting right now. And I wasn't late. I wasn't late for the blind, nothing. It's dark.
Yeah. But
they heard me coming. I wasn't expecting to be right there. Like, right. I'm looking up. And me knowing, if I had my gun, I'd have had a dead turkey poached, but I'd had a dead turkey because it was dark. I mean, it would have happened, but which I don't condone. Don't do that. But I was so frustrated for the last 2.5 days,
People think about it, thoughts cross your mind when you walk
right.
up.
And to walk in and the whole flock's there, and then to go, well, that's a Matthews, not a Browning or a Remington. I'm like, this can't work. So I kneel by this tree for what seems like forever until they finally just down out of that damn tree and off they go. So I walked to my blind defeated. Oh, they didn't see me. There's no way they knew it was me. I'll come back in.
All the lies you tell yourself after you get busted.
Didn't fucking happen. They'll come back. Just 5 more minutes. One more cast. They'll come back. So.
Hey, I gotta let my dog out real quick. Give me 1 second. Making a little noise. Oh, shit.
While there's a break here, I'll jump back in. I will say this about turkey hunting. Okay, I've been listening to you guys' conversation. Turkeys deserve to be shot in the face with a shotgun.
They sure do.
I truly believe that. Hell with the bow. I love bow hunting. Hell with the bow when it comes to turkeys. Shoot them in the face with a shotgun. That's
right. Yeah, and I learned that very quickly in 3 days. Every time I went turkey hunting after that, the bow never left the house. Mm-hmm. Never. I never bought turkey broadheads. I never practiced on a turkey decoy. I don't care. I bought a choke for my shotgun, and I'm going to blast their heads off. I don't care.
Amen, brother. Amen.
I really love bow hunting. Like, don't get me
Yeah, me
wrong.
too.
But if I can use a gun, I'm going to use a gun.
Right.
The only time I ever considered not doing it, and I was going to pack one anyway, was when I was going to go on that bear trip with you, boom, to Canada. Because I thought that was the only time I thought it would be so cool to do a bear with a bow, right? But I was still going to pack a gun too. Like, it's so much easier.
See, that's where I do disagree. Like I said, I've been fortunate. I've killed 4 bears, every one with a bow.
Right.
But my farthest shot's been 16 yards, I think. It's very up front and personal when you go up there.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you're in a, like, I'm assuming that was a guided hunt or at least a semi-guided hunt.
It's yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean,
it's a long story, but yeah.
But I mean, you're not having to walk through the woods for weeks trying to find these bear,
No,
and get in their perfect position with the wind and everything else like that, So it's a little bit easier with the bow. I mean, 16 yards is your furthest with 4 bear. That's pretty fucking close.
Yeah, my biggest bear I killed.
More.
I think 40 yards is about as close as I'd want to get to one, even at attempting to kill it. 16 yards it'd be hard to miss.
My biggest black bear was a 300-pound boar, big boar.
Yeah,
at 9 yards.
Yeah, that's not even a first down, Jesse. Yeah, that's second and 1. No, that's a little close.
Close for comfort. So you got done with Montana. How did your hunting journey go from there? You did your elk hunt. You did your deer hunt.
Yeah.
You got the bug. Then what happened?
Well, I just, like you said, got the bug, and I just kept doing it as much as I could. Dumped as much money in it as I could. And I was fortunate enough. I got a really nice bow from a friend of mine. I got a Matthews Monster for a really good price. And I still have it today. One of the fastest bows Monster ever made. It's really quiet. It's super fast. And I loved it. It was easy to shoot. It paper tuned real well. So it was just one of them easy transitions. I learned that bow really well, and it never failed me. But I started getting so frustrated because I missed a couple, or I had some bad opportunities where, I could have shot or I should have shot and didn't. So that's when I got into shotgun. I was like, gun hunting, that's for old men, or that's for the lazy guys, this 5-year, 6-year experienced hunter over here talking a bunch of smack about the gun hunters, but and I harvested a deer with my bow. Before I bought the Matthews, I actually had a Browning buck hunter. That was the first bow I ever bought from that guy in Montana. Super old. 3-pin fiber optics, and the fiber optics were about that long. They didn't wrap around the sight. I mean, they were metal pins with the loop of fiber optic behind it. Yeah, it was old school. And I killed my very first deer with it was an 8-point basket buck at about what I thought was 30 yards. Come to find out it was about 41 yards. I didn't have a rangefinder. The landowner he goes, that tree is about 30 yards, that tree is about 40 yards. Well, they're like this, And I don't remember, was it that tree was 30 or was it that tree was 30? I don't remember. There's like 5 trees in a line like this, but, and we're in a real small property. 13 acres was this little triangle piece he owned down the Henderson Creek bottom.
Yeah.
But it was surrounded by hundreds of acres of bluff ground and Chandler ground. I mean, just hundreds of acres of timber. And then behind me and to my west was hundreds of acres of cornfield or bean fields. So they had everything they wanted. And it was just one of them travel corridors, and you'd be lucky enough and they'd walk in front of you a lot. I mean, that 13 acres was worth as much as 100-acre timber. I mean, just from where it was at. It's just prime ground. But yeah, he came He came from my east to west, pouring down rain that morning, just cats and dogs. I'm sitting in a box blind because I was the only guy that wanted to go hunting that morning. So landlord let me go to the box blind so I didn't get wet. And I'm sitting there just, well, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And I think 9 o'clock or so, the rain let up. 9:10, 9:15, the sun come out. And then here he comes. And like I said, what I thought was 30 yards, pinned him, hit him, and he dropped. His ass end just dropped to the ground like he sat down on a chair. Then he stood up and walked away. And just kept walking. And just kept walking. Great. Awesome. What do I do now? What do I do now? So, from everything I've heard and been told, you wait a while and get down and go see, check out the area where you hit him and all this stuff. And found some blood. So now my knees are shaking, clacking together, and found my arrow. I'm looking around a little bit, no blood. Decent sized blood where I hit him.
Yeah.
But following his tracks, there was no blood. None. So that sucked.
How'd you find him?
Well, we went, got the landowner out there. Then we're looking. Can't find any blood. Starts to rain. It's getting dark. So of course we do the whole, we'll let him sit. I tell him about the, replay the shot in my head. I tell him kind of, and it says, well, it sounds like you hit him a little back or a little in the gut, So we'll just let him sit. Are you sure you didn't go in the creek? No, he didn't go in the creek. I would have heard the water splash. I'm 50 yards from the water. I'd have heard him. He's a big deer. Can't sleep that night. Get up the next morning. Meet up with everybody. We're walking around. Of course, it rained all night, so there was no blood anywhere anymore. And they're telling me, you sure he didn't go in the creek? You sure he didn't go in the creek? No, he didn't go in the damn creek. I'd have heard him. I would have heard him. And we're looking. We got 5 or 6 people out there. My buddy and his wife, my wife and kid, I think, is with me. Landowner, and we're all of us looking. Well, I finally hear one of the wives yell, "There he is!" I'm like, "Really?" So I run over where she's at, and she's pointing. I'm like, "Where?" "Right there in the creek. He's right there." And the only thing she saw was, and the Henderson Creek is really, in this spot, it's like 6 or 7 feet straight down on both sides. And it's a wintertime, real small, probably 3 foot deep. Well, he was in the creek, laying down, and the only thing that she noticed was one antler sticking up with collected leaves on the side of it. And it looked really weird to her. So she stared at it for a minute and realized it was an antler. So he was in the fucking creek. After I told everybody he wasn't in the creek. He was in the creek. So we got that, got him up, got him out of there, and the rest is history. Is just like, I can do this. I'm pretty good at it.
So no lie, my first deer that I shot ever was shotgun season. I'm in a tree stand, and my dad's line of work with OSHA and all that stuff. I don't have a tree harness.
Right.
He literally gives me a construction harness. I'm
Sure.
in the thick ass, from Carly.
Yeah.
Blue and yellow, bright, whatever. I shoot this button buck, and any thought of my head goes out, right? No, do you wait? Nope. I hop right down my ladder stand,
Right.
walk right over to that spot. As you said, oh shit, there's blood. Oh my gosh. So then I'm talking to the guys I'm hunting with. Luckily, they saw the deer fall and just down the bluff from me. But all thought goes out the window.
Sure.
You're just I did it. I think I did.
And I think I waited 30 minutes, but it probably was more like 6. I don't know. I waited long enough to know the deer was out of sight, and he was walking pretty slow. Obviously, I hit him in the liver, where the kill shot was.
Okay.
So he was going to die regardless. But I'm just lucky that those banks were so steep he couldn't climb back out of the creek and head south where he was going to the big timber to die.
Yeah.
So I got lucky there. Really, I really did. It was a bad shot, 11 yards further than I thought it was. So, at 30 yards, I would have shot right over his back, most likely. So just luck all the way around. And then, then a doe came a couple years later. Second day of season, I killed a doe with my bow at 74 degrees outside. It was hot. I was in a t-shirt. Stupid hot.
My biggest buck to date was 72 degrees.
Yeah, and then a couple years after that, I shot a doe with my gun, which is a 20 gauge single shot, iron sights. I couldn't even tell you who makes it. I got no idea. I did some work for Alex and traded it for the work, and
awesome.
So I'm 4 for 4 with that gun now.
There you go.
So
and that brings us to this season, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about this season.
Well, I'd like to tell you that I've hunted this deer for years and finally got him. I got pictures of him. I got sheds of him. But that's not what happened. It was pretty much luck again, really. It went for lack of trying, though. But it was luck. So I did some farm work. I helped a guy harvest this fall. And he was happens to be the dad of my son, one of my son's best friends. And, we're pretty good buddies. We'd coach football together and, hung out and stuff. And, him and his dad farm. And it's just them two. They have, hundreds of acres, 500, 600, 700 acres. I'm not exactly sure how many, but good size operation for just two guys.
Right.
So, they were looking for some help, and I offered to help. And so we got harvest done out of the way. And, of course, they hunt. And, we're talking about hunting and stuff and how, I haven't really hunted a whole lot deer-wise. And, especially last year, 2023, I didn't deer hunt at all. So, and, one thing led to another, go ahead and you can hunt with us. Great. Awesome. So got harvest done, showed me a couple of the properties. He said, well, you can have this one. And then before I even harvested, I asked him if I could have one of his fields. He's got like a 10-acre field, 10 acres CRP, and then 38 acres of corn to goose hunt. It's down by New Boston. It's like we're 3 miles from the river. It's right on the Edwards River. I mean, it's a great waterfowl area. That's the main reason I was, kind of linking up with them, was for that chunk. And then then they asked me to harvest with them, and that's when we got talking about the deer hunting and stuff. And so they said, well, no one's hunted this property for a while. Let's, you can hunt down there, or you can hunt the field in one area, but there's a couple other guys that hunt in the area, but there's nobody hunts down here. So I got me a single person ground blind off Facebook Marketplace. And because I got no stands, I'm relying on family friends through the years, and the couple stands I did have are still up in the timber at the old property. Just kind of gave it to them, for letting me hunt. I don't care about them. But so I bought me a single man ground blind and put it in the corner of this timber, this cornfield. The cornfield is like 60 something acres, and they own about 30 feet of the timber around this cornfield. And I was sitting there for weeks, 2-3 weeks, and watching all these deer come in this field, turkeys, dozens of turkeys, but nothing super close. I had one chance at a forkhorn, but it was like the second day I ever hunted it.
Yeah.
So we'll let them go. It's still October. We'll see what's up. And I kept seeing these deer come at this certain area of this field. So it was supposed to get really cold right before shotgun season. So first shotgun season I had to work, so I wasn't able to do nothing. But I moved my blind right before second shotgun season to that same corner area where the deer have been coming out and going back and forth. So the Wednesday it must have been the Monday or Tuesday before. Moved the blind, set it all up. The ground was frozen, so I couldn't put the stakes in my blind. So I just kind of put some logs and stuff around the base of it, hoping to God that it would stay where it was.
Yeah.
Well, two nights later, we had a huge windstorm, like 40, 50 mile an hour winds. Didn't think anything of it, whatever. That Saturday, I'm able to go hunting. It's shotgun season. It's like the second to last day of second shotgun. I get there super early. It's dark. Get all my stuff on. Load up. Walking through the cornfield. Cut corn. I spook 2 deer to my west. They don't blow. They just heard them run. All right, no problem. Happens almost. I mean, you're hunting a 68-acre field, and you walk across this field to get to a blind. I mean, you're going to jump deer, and especially if they're in it, and they don't know what you are. They don't hear. They don't care. They're gone. So I get over where the blind was, and it's gone. The blind's gone. My chair's there. But the blinds. Oh, I forgot to tell you. When I got out of the truck and was putting my stuff on, I broke my glasses.
Oh.
They're still glued together. So I put my mask on, and when I put my mask on, they broke. So I'm just dangling here, and I can't see without them. I'm blind as a bat. There's no other option other than going home, and that wasn't happening. So broke my glasses, jumped 2 deer walking in, get there, my ground blind's gone. Of course, it's dark. I got no idea. You can't see it. I'm not going to turn a flashlight on because literally 5 feet that way from where my blind is the fence row with the other property. I'm not going to shine a flashlight over there.
Yeah.
So I grab my chair. I look around. I see a tree kind of over to my right that's on the property. But still, the way that fence angles, it's pretty close to the property line. But I knew I could see the fence post, so I just stayed on that side. And I had the wind from my right to left. I'm sitting facing due east, and my wind's blowing right into the field where I just came from, right where those deer came from. Everything, just terrible wind, terrible setup. Whatever. Big twin trees behind me. Nothing could see me this way.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Light starts cracking. I can see now. I forgot to get my binoculars and rangefinder out because I finally grew up some and bought me a rangefinder. So I'm getting that out of my bag. I put my rangefinder in my pocket. And I'd range this when I put the blind up. I ranged some spots, so I kind of knew how far things were. But of course, now I'm in a brand new spot. I'm 40-ish yards closer to the field. I'm 30-ish yards further to the west.
Right.
So I got a relative idea, but I got a gun. If I can see you from where I'm at, I can shoot you pretty much.
Right.
Again, single shot, 20 gauge, iron sights, no scope, no nothing.
Glasses.
But reliable. She's 3 for 3 at this point. So I'm sitting there. It's not 10 minutes later. I look to my left, and there's 3 deer in the field. All right. One's kind of further off. This one, the one furthest to the west, is definitely a doe. The one kind of with her looks like a buck. He's kind of acting like a buck. But when I bring the binoculars up, you're doing one of these things. It's cold. It's wintertime. I could tell it was a buck. And then I seen the other one. I could tell he was bigger than the first one. I was like, well, I'm going to shoot that one then. And if he doesn't give me a shot, I'm going to shoot this one that's standing here eating. And I've been in this chair maybe 10 minutes, maybe, because all the fumble fucking getting there and then moving my chair and all this. I mean, I've wasted a lot of time now.
Yeah.
So it's not even 7 o'clock yet. I think sunrise is like 6:48 that day, and it's 6:49. And I'm looking at these deer, And one of them's a buck. One's a really big buck. As he gets closer, I glass him. I can tell he's definitely a shooter. And so I get ready, and he keeps coming. He keeps coming. I shoulder my gun, and he stops, looking right at me. Of course, like I said, my wind's blowing right into him. But I kind of lucked out with the way the sun was and how low light it was still. And about 30 feet from the edge of the field into the timber is really like 5 foot tall grass, like grassy stuff. And I'm sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
Well, I can see him. He can see me, but he doesn't know what I am. He can definitely tell there's something weird there.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. But by this time, he's about 100 yards and almost broadside. Like he's quartering to me pretty hard, but he's going to go. The doe is to his right, and he's going to turn. Either he's going to turn now or he's going to take a few more steps and turn. So I just shoulder and I wait. And it wasn't, a couple seconds later, he put his head down and took 2 steps to his right, and he's broadside 100 yards. So my thought is stand up and shoot. He's either going to run or you're going to shoot and kill him. So that's exactly what I did. I stood up, up the leg, bang, dropped him where he stood. And obviously, the other 2 ran away. I'm shaking. I, unload the gun, call the landowner, because he was going to go out hunting in the property north of me. And we talked that night before about how, he might just sleep in.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. And I called him, and he was in bed. I was like, well, get out of bed because I got a big one on the ground. I didn't even walk up to him. I started to the truck. And when I get to the edge of the field, I see him raise his head up. I guess, he does like one of these things. He kind of rocks his head back. And I'm like, nope. I load another one. Bang. Shoot him again. And then he lays down. No more movement after that. I've heard horror stories of guys that do that. They walk away, they come back, and he's gone. So good thing he lifted his head up because I would have went to the truck and who knows what would happen.
Holy smokes.
But, so I got to the truck, got my stuff changed. Landowner met me, drove up to him. And I've never seen this buck, not on camera, not in passing, not the moment I shot him, nothing. This buck gets bigger and bigger every foot I get to him. I'm not expecting this, the deer that you guys have seen until I get there. And dude, it's the biggest buck I've ever seen, biggest deer I've ever seen in real life, hands down. And
you just shot him.
And I just shot him, and he's going to be on my wall.
That's awesome.
So, and it was just the crazy series of events that led up to it. Just extremely thankful and lucky for sure. For the landowner and having them give me permission, and it was just insane how it all happened.
Like you said, everything that happened before you shot it.
Right.
But the fact that you would walk back to your truck and you just happen to look back and he's starting to get up and you're like, fuck no.
Yeah.
And you had a chance to load and go.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was getting up or what, but his head was up and he was kind of rocking, like when you're tired and you're kind of nodding off.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. And I shot him again. I didn't care.
Are you ever going to walk back to your truck before you check the deer?
Well, I hadn't made it quite to the truck. I made it probably 30 yards.
Okay.
I'm walking towards him-ish to get out of the timber. But he's here and my truck's way over here. So I kind of walk towards him out of the timber and going to head off to my truck, and I see him raise his head up. So into the pocket I go for another shell. Boom. Didn't even think twice about it.
I couldn't imagine that moment, like right there, like the oh shit,
It was literally the fuck you do. That's literally that's the feeling. I don't think so. No. Yeah, my freezer's empty. I don't care how big or small you are. You're gonna lay right there until I get back.
Oh, holy shit, man!
Yeah.
That's a broke glasses, iron sight, single shot. You have to put 2 in them.
Yeah.
Where'd your first shot hit?
First shot was double lung. It just hit him so hard that he just dropped, didn't know what to do. He was dying. You know, he would have died. My second shot hit him right by the left eye.
Oh.
Well, all I could see was his neck and head, and then whatever body was laying on the ground, because he was still laying on the ground when he lifted his head up.
Yeah.
And, of course, buck fever, and the adrenaline's pumping. I'm, shaking like a leaf, man. And I know he can hear my knees knocking together. I know he can.
So you said you're going to get it on your wall as a taxidermist going to fix that? You're going to keep that?
So, well, I didn't even know I shot him in the head. When I got up to him, I just seen the one hole. In his chest. I'm like, well, that's double lung. I mean, there's red bubbles, it's straight pass through. I mean, he's dead. That's a dead deer. It's like, where the fuck did my second shot go? Where was my first shot? If that's my second shot, where's my first shot? Couldn't find it. So we're looking this deer over, and he kind of has a little thing by his left eye that almost looks like a fighting wound. Well, we're messing with it and stuff, and just kind of, I thought it missed. Like, well, maybe the second one missed, and he just died. It's like, but the way, because after I shot, and then his head went like that, there's no way I missed.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it, and I'm playing with that little spot, and put my pinky, and my pinky goes all the way in. I'm like, well, that's not a fighting wound. That's a bullet hole. And we're checking the back. We check the strength of the antlers. Like, I was like the shattered skull or something. We're grabbing the antlers and stuff, and nothing's moved. That 20 gauge was small enough that at the distance and angle, I'm guessing, it hit that skull and slowed down enough where it just put the hole in and took him to Jesus, and he was done. And it didn't hurt nothing else. But when the taxidermist met me at the butcher, he's like, "Oh yeah, I can fix that, no problem. Won't even know it's there." And you could comb it over, like you could like push the fur down and make it disappear. Like, there's a couple of pictures on my phone that I've got it pushed down and took a picture where you can't tell I shot him in the face.
I'm still stuck and imagine you going to this deer like this.
I did, man. I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, I'm messing with it, and I'm like, well, that's a hole. That's kind of weird. And it's like pinky, and like, that's a fucking bullet hole. So yeah, I shot him in the dome.
Did you get it scored?
We rough scored him at about 155-ish, somewhere between 155, 160.
Awesome.
Yeah, he had 20-inch spread, 27-inch main beams. He was 5 inches at the base. His longest G2 was 10 3/4. The other one was 9.5. Double crab claw, which is really cool.
Awesome.
So, and just based on those numbers, I think we had 100 inches.
Good.
So everything else,
yeah,
we put about 155. But
when
the taxidermist, we'll get the dry score from him.
Yeah.
And the dry and wet score is going to be what, about an 1/8 or 2/8 difference. So
I've never shot a deer big enough for scoring, so I don't know.
Right.
They call me the button-up slayer for a reason.
This is the biggest one. This is the only one I've had scored. I mean, I think I scored my basket 8 just for fun. I think it was 118, 108, something like that. if I remember right.
Well, man, I'm super made up for you. Like when I saw you post that, I was like, first of all, holy hell, that's a big deer.
Right.
Second of all, super pumped that you got, just because I know, like, I've been following your journey on Facebook and we haven't talked much, but like
Sure.
you've been putting in a lot of time. You've been going out there and doing it. And the fellow, late bloomer hunter, like,
Right.
it's always good to see somebody else who's a late bloomer have that kind of success.
Right.
So I'm super made up for you. I can't wait to see the mount. Send me a picture when you get that.
No, for sure.
And I also appreciate you coming on here, telling us the story, telling us your whole path here from elk hunting as you're stationed out in Montana, your first 2 years with a really old bow you found on Craigslist.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The old Brownie buck hunter, man.
And then the
Easton aluminum arrows.
And got trained by that dude for about an hour and said,
Yep.
all right, let's give this a go.
I got it.
All the way to coming back to Illinois and hammering a big one, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'll grow up someday and get there.
Yeah, it was a long road. I mean, that was probably 2010, I think, when I bought that first bow. And, I'd have been, oh man, I don't know, 22.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Wow. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Last words for the listeners, anything like that from you, Brenton?
What's that?
Any last words for the listeners or any parting wisdom you have in your old age?
No, just keep after it, man. It happens. Even if you get lucky, it happens. If public land is all you got, then public land's all you got. Use it, treat it like your own, treat it like private ground, and it'll reward you. I mean, and make relationships. The better relationships you make is going to be turned into better opportunities. So, be the good neighbor, be the good friend, and good things will happen.
Yeah. Ryan, I always say that you can't shoot from the couch. Your ass has got to be in the seat, man.
100%.
No matter where it is, you got to be out there.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Boom. You got anything for the listeners before we leave?
Yeah, a couple things. Number one, Brent and Jesse, good job. I was sitting there listening to most of that. Good podcast. Brent, happy to have you on. Jesse, great host.
Yep.
So when we in the recording here, you guys just want to stay on for a couple minutes, make sure everything downloaded and fine and stuff. But for the listeners, I hope you guys are enjoying these podcasts we've been putting out, and also the content we're putting out. I know right now there's a fresh coyote hunting video tournament from the Polish Hammer and Kyle Oldham. You guys should definitely give those a watch. We just came back from Texas for some hog hunting. We're going to have some content coming. I don't think it'll be out yet when you guys are listening to this podcast, but definitely check it out. It should be coming in the next week or two. And then a couple things. If you want to come see us, March 7th, 8th, and 9th, we'll be at the Iowa Deer Classic. Come see us. We'll have some merch and swag, and I don't know who all is going to be there other than myself, but I know there will be others. So make sure you come see us. And then in Illinois, our home show, March 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we will be there, and we'll also be helping out Dominant Strands, who will also be there, and Mr. Rubb will be there. So come check us out. It'll be a good time. We'll always have a good time with the show.
I'll be there a couple days or one day.
Don't come now. Don't come now if he's going to be now. But no, it's always good to see our partners, see our some of the team members come down to help the shows, and then also just meet all our fans and supporters. We do appreciate it. It gets bigger and bigger every year. Not only do the shows themselves are getting bigger, but we are getting bigger, and we just have a good time at the shows. Right. But other than that, make sure you like and subscribe, and be safe out there.